Thank you. A call to order the regular meeting of the Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs Committee today, June 11th, 2025. There's a roll call. I have Mr. Lopez, Ms. Shanahan, Ms. Edie, Mr. Seed, and myself. So we do have a quorum. Ms. Ayers is traveling, and hopefully she will be able to jump on when time allows her, but she needs to be safe. Acceptance of the minute meeting of the regular meeting for May 14th, 2025. Someone, okay, thank you, Ms. Shanahan. All in favor of accepting any changes to the meeting minutes? No? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Next, we'll move on to public participation. And Mr. Lean.
Yeah, we have a few.
People.
Start with
Okay.
Ms. Ball. Ms. Ball, you're unmuted.
Oh, yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
As a founding member of Skip the Plastic Norwalk, I'm here to express my opposition to Rec and Park's proposal to install an artificial turf field at Broad River Park, located in a state aquifer protection zone just 700 feet from the Norwalk River. If Norwalk wants to maintain its reputation as a leader in sustainability by making the city safer and healthier for all, artificial turf, an ecological, environmental, and human health hazard, is not the answer. Turf is plastic, and plastic is made from fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are fueling climate change, which leads to extreme weather events and more. 2023 and 24 are tied for the second hottest years on record. And because turf fields are made of plastic, they don't biodegrade. As the material degrades, it sheds microplastics, posing serious environmental and health challenges. Microplastics are an environmental issue because storm drains in Norwalk tell you exactly where runoff goes. It drains to watercourse. In this case, the Norwalk River and Long Island Sound. What's more, hazardous chemicals that leach from plastic fields over time, such as PFAS and lead, end up draining to watercourse as well. For people, microplastics pose a problem because they can be inhaled by players on the fields. These pieces of plastic can also be transported home on players' clothing and skin, where they ultimately drain to watercourse via showers and washing machines. Plus, properties affected by possible water and soil pollution typically experience a decrease in value due to health risks, legal liabilities, and the costs and uncertainties of remediation, along with the community taking a reputational hit. Then there's the heat. On sunny days, plastic surfaces can reach 160 degrees. At these temperatures, the fields can't be used by anyone. While some worry that natural grass is too temperamental due to weather conditions, we venture to say that fake grass is worse. After 10 to 12 years, an artificial plastic field wears out, and disposing of it is difficult. It either ends up in landfill or is incinerated, depending on how Norwalk would handle it. This represents tens of thousands of pounds of waste and more expenses. Plastic is essential to the structure of artificial grass, but happily, Norwalk has a choice. Choosing real grass would be in keeping Norwalk's commitment to reducing plastic pollution for environmental and health reasons. The city has already passed plastic carryout bag and polystyrene ordinances, which have made a huge difference. Let's keep going. Let's reject plastic turf fields and opt for the real thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ball. Who's next?
Ms. Washer, you're unmuted.
Yeah, I am. Thanks for letting me comment. My name is Louise Washer. I'm president of the Norwalk River Watershed Association, and our group has already submitted comments that outline our concerns about the threats proposed by the artificial fields that could go in, the artificial field that could go in at Broad River. The threat, as Betty Ball said, this is just an exquisitely sensitive area. Unfortunately, it is one that really merits protection from the hundreds of chemicals and pollutants, including PFAS and microplastics that come with artificial turf. It's an aquifer protection zone, a state aquifer protection zone. There are only 80 in the state. And the reason for that is that every bit of water that falls in that spot or is, used to water fields or to cool potential artificial fields drains directly into a drinking water aquifer that serves over 1,000 people. So it's just it's a sensitive place. Also, the water from that field is piped directly into the Norwalk River. So I would just ask you to consider the specificness of this as a hazard to water. And just as a Norwalk resident and taxpayer I live really close to the park. I just wanted to know if the public could understand more about the removal and disposal costs. As I keep reading, these fields last about 8 to 10 years, and we're seeing in places like Wilton that they get washed out and they have to be replaced, even before the eight years is up. So when I just honestly Googled it, I saw that replacement of a baseball field, is from $350,000 to $650,000. I don't know if that's in line with what you expect to see at Broad River. I just was wondering about the ongoing costs, if there was more information available to the public. And those are my comments. We at NRWA had asked Dr. Sarah Evans from Mount Sinai to attend. I'm not sure if she was able to come tonight, if you see her on there or not, but she's a children's health expert who focuses on exposure to chemicals, and her comments on artificial turf fields and their health effects are available on YouTube on the NRWA website, which is also a link is in the letter that we sent in April. And I really would just encourage council members to look at that. This is her expertise, and there are real concerns about how the chemicals in these fields affect children that are playing on them. That seems like it should be a consideration, broadly in Norwalk in terms of the use of these fields. But we just have an opportunity to hear from her, and she's a real expert. She lives in Fairfield, Connecticut, and so I encourage you to look at that, and I'm happy to resend the link to that if anyone would like to see it. Thank you for the chance to comment.
Who do we have next, Delene? Is
Mr.
that Tyler?
Mhm.
Thank you so much to the members of the committee for allowing the public the opportunity to speak out on the Broad River Park redevelopment. I am here to wholeheartedly offer my support for the hybrid model that the Norwalk Youth Baseball Association supports. It would be an artificial turf infield and an all-natural grass outfield on each of the 3 fields. This would allow us to play when it rains, which has been a real challenge this spring. I wanted to quickly point to the letter from Jeff Olszewski that was attached to your meeting materials tonight, where he lays out the pros and cons of the synthetic turf infield versus the traditional clay infield. If it were rather a traditional clay infield, I looked immediately to the cons list. It requires more frequent maintenance than synthetic turf and can be challenging to maintain. And with all due respect to the Parks Department, they've been incredibly helpful in helping us get the fields ready. The 2 fields that are there now are not being maintained properly. The next point, more frequent maintenance consumes more city resources, including regular raking and dragging, additional surface conditioners. Limited maintenance can result in uneven surface for athletes, hazards for athletes. All of that is what's happening now at the 2 fields at Broad River. If the new fields that go in are all natural and there's no synthetic turf, in order to make them playable as they should be, you have to eliminate the weeds, you have to eliminate pests that destroy the grass. That presumably introduces chemicals into the dirt in the soil, which would be equally concerning if you were somebody who's concerned with the synthetic turf infields. If you are not going to properly treat the weeds and the bugs that kill the grass, it's a tacit acknowledgement that the fields will remain in the sad, sorry state that they're in now. I think it's a real shame for us to spend millions and millions of dollars to redo a field that will not maybe, certainly within 12 months look like it looks now. The alternative, and I hope that this committee can help us get there if you decide not to go with the turf hybrid model. We're not suggesting making the entire surface turf. We will need to find as a city hundreds of thousands of dollars at a minimum to provide the proper annually to provide the proper staffing to maintain those fields and rebuild them when they inevitably wash away if you have a clay surface on the infield. So I think this is a really wonderful opportunity. We already have turf surfaces at McMahon and at Nathan Hale for the high school teams. This would be really a wonderful opportunity to give our kids a chance to have a consistent playing surface and a consistent season where we're not getting rained out once or twice a week, as has been the case this spring. So thank you again for your consideration. We greatly appreciate it. And, whatever happens this evening, we really hope as as the board of Norwalk Youth Baseball that we're able to continue working to make this better than it currently is. Thank you again.
Rachel Precious?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Great. Thanks for having me. I'm Rachel Precious. I'm a Westport resident, but I have a business based in East Norwalk. My background is, and I'm speaking in opposition of the turf field. I'm a former oyster farmer. I farmed oysters in Norwalk for a few years. I now own an oyster catering business based in Norwalk, and I'm also in the process of opening an oyster raw bar restaurant in East Norwalk. And I buy the bulk of my oysters from Norwalk. They come from the waters that actually the Norwalk River empties into. So I just wanted to zoom out for a minute and point out that turf fields seem to only really benefit one group, and that's the people that are using the fields. But they cause irreparable damage to the environment, which harms so many other groups, so many other people. And so I think in reference to Tyler's point, I think that's an interesting idea, this hybrid model. But I think with the amount of rain that we're seeing, I don't see how the outer ring or the outer band of natural grass would be able to withstand the runoff that would come from the turf field. And we've heard a lot about PFAS and other chemicals, but I wanted to talk specifically about zinc. So there are very high levels of zinc that are that run off from turf fields, from artificial turf. And zinc is highly toxic to oysters. Too much zinc can interrupt their digestive system, reproduction processes, and also just kill them if there's too much zinc in the water. So again, like I said before, where the Norwalk River empties into is a really sensitive and very important oyster growing area. And I just don't see how Norwalk can be doing things like promoting its oyster history and, working to promote its oyster industry that's here today, while simultaneously also opening the door for so much harm. And I used to live in Norwalk. Like I said, my business is there now. I've done a lot of volunteer work in Norwalk, and I've always been very impressed by how supportive Norwalk compared to other towns is of environmental efforts. But if this goes forward, it is going to impact how I view the city, especially as a business owner who buys most of their oysters from Norwalk. I might just not buy Norwalk oysters anymore. So I hope your committee keeps this in mind, that it impacts more than just field players. It involves people whose industries and livelihoods depend on the quality of the water. Thank you.
Ms. Larcella, you're unmuted.
Yes, thank you. For the record, Diane Lauricella, 21 Little Fox Lane, and speaking also as the chair of the ad hoc Norwalk Zero Waste Coalition and a longtime environmental professional and advocate. I'm here tonight to request that you, I don't think that this project should be voted on tonight, because you still do not have enough information upon which to make an informed choice. And what would that informed choice include? It would have included a neutral party evaluating the pros and cons of synthetic turf, clay, and natural turf. And I've yet to see anything, especially out of Stantec, which I would not say, while they're a fine company, they are the ones that are going to be designing or are designing the current project and have done a lot of work in Norwalk. Hardly a neutral party, to tell you the truth. And I'm a consultant, so I am still disappointed that this Mr. Stowers, the staff, the mayor's office have still not taken my suggestion and other suggestions that we do a with neutral parties for the true cost, cradle to grave, including disposal. That is not reflected in the most recent Stantec 9.5 million for the 3 infield artificial turf. There is a selective, it's misinformation because it's selectively highlighting and updating synthetic turf and downplaying clay and natural turf in a previous. So it's hardly neutral. And you need, because you're layman, you need to have reliable and neutral party information. I agree with Betty Ball, Louise Washer, Rachel Precious, and I've spoken to Tyler. And I'm sure that Tyler and Norwalk Youth Baseball does not want to add harms to the children's health, some of which could be either lifelong injuries or chemical issues. I'm sure none of the parents would like to harm their children, and the city of Norwalk has to start taking this seriously. So I ask, has the health department weighed in on this? I asked them at not 1, but 2 months worth of Board of Health meetings that the health department actually weigh in on this. As a resident and Norwalk taxpayer as well, I feel the health department should do their due diligence because this is a health issue, not only for the children and the players, but also the aquifer protection area, which brought me to this city. I was the first DEEP employee to find the original pollution source that makes it a Superfund site for a different chemical, trichloroethylene, that's currently still being cleaned up. The PFAS are already in that water. So please, let's not add to it with this poorly reviewed current plan. I also wanted to say that I agree with the parents. We have to give the staff and the city more funds and assets upon which to maintain. Any issues with clay or natural turf will be reduced greatly, if not zeroed out, because the new field will definitely have better drainage. It'll have new drainage. That's what everyone is forgetting about. You will not have a repeat of the puddling and the poorly maintained natural grass because you will have a whole new complex, which I'm looking forward to, quite frankly. It will be underlain by professional, modern piping that will be sized according to climate change issues where it's raining more. We have more intense extreme weather. So I ask that you either, and also lastly, the way this is being on your items on the agenda, where the first thing that you're going to vote on, it's broken down into 3 different items, I think I'm a little concerned about it. Because I would love to see grass be the first item on the agenda instead of synthetic fields. So, Madam Chair, I really am concerned about the way this is laid out by the staff on your items on your agenda. I'm worried that you're never going to get around to voting on clay or on natural field. It should all be under one item and have a discussion, in my humble opinion. So I thank you for letting me speak. There's currently no fair cost comparison that's been presented to any of you fine people yet, because every time Stantec has presented, they've left out conveniently the disposal cost of synthetic turf, and also the fact that synthetic turf does need to be sprayed with antibacterials because of the fact this happens throughout the use of this. So it does use chemicals as well. It's
I'm
not.
sorry, Ms. Lauricella, you're beyond your 3 minutes.
Okay, so please suspend your disbelief that you have enough, that you have enough information. You just don't. So if you find you must vote, please vote for natural turf first, then clay, and do not allow synthetic turf to enter this particular. We have to stop. We have 7 fields. We have to stop now for the health of the children and our environment. Thank you.
Cynthia, you are unmuted.
Yes, hello. My name is Cynthia Youssef, and I am a longtime resident of Norwalk. I was actually born here, and I returned to Norwalk because of its beauty. And I have been recently made aware of this particular Broad River Park in the field, and one of Norwalk's natural beauties is the water that surrounds our town, and to have more artificial turf that would leach into our waterways is, and as the woman spoke about the oysters, what negative impacts it would have on our oyster, which is such a large part of the Norwalk community, concerns me. So I just wanted to raise my hand and voice my concern in opposition to the synthetic fields, and I strongly recommend the natural turf, as many others have spoken before me.
No one else has their hand raised, Ms. Young. Oh, hold on, I got one more. I'm gonna unmute Ms. Cece. Ms. Cece, you're unmuted.
Thank you, Darlene, and thank you. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I just wanted to speak briefly. First of all, I want to say that I've tried to follow some of the debate and information available on the discussions on the turf field. And I have to say at this point that I just want to voice my opinion. And I'm also opposed to having this type of field, especially at Broad River, for all the good reasons that the people who spoke before me just shared with you. A couple of old expressions come to mind. One is, if in doubt, throw it out. And I also think you need to err on the side of caution when you're considering these things. And I think that if there's any chance at all of additional contamination, and we don't know what we don't know as well about the long-term impacts of this. So I would hope that that doesn't get approved. What I wanted to speak to tonight is, or actually I wanted to observe and point out a couple of things regarding item E on your agenda with the for the Washington Street Plaza and immediate surrounding grounds by Sono Entertainment for the Black Heritage Parade. I'm interested in learning more about this item. And I'm thinking if you have some questions as I do that you might want to offer up to table to the next meeting. I wanted to get some clarification on what exactly immediate surrounding grounds means. Also, what the nature of the parade would be. I'm a little confused with that. I'm also confused because the item that you had approved a month or two ago, that's for an agenda item this month at Veterans Memorial Park for the same organization, as you recall. They are, it's a fundraiser that they're having a 3-day carnival for at Veterans Memorial Park. That's a fundraiser to support this event in September. So I'm a little curious about how all of that is interconnected and why we would need a 3-day carnival to support a limited 1-day event that's presumably for 100 people. Which brings me to my next point. The application that was filed with you in a couple of places and on your agenda says for up to or approximately 100 guests, and then elsewhere in the application it says, will you have over 200 guests, thereby requiring police. So I wanted to, or I hope you would get some clarification on that. And also, I'm hoping to learn a little bit more about what the parade is. I've done a little bit of research on other communities, and everyone seems to have a different take on it. But I'm curious why this would be from 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. in the morning till 9 at night, and also be serving liquor. And also curious, maybe Mr. Stowers can answer this, or staff as well. On your application, do you have a final line that says, will you solicit contributions at your event? And I wonder if you could clarify the meaning of contributions. if it's a nonprofit, are you talking about donations? Or does contributions mean an entrance fee or participant fee? So I would want to understand what that is. Would people be paying to attend this? And I think that was my last question on this. Oh, the other thing I wanted to know is, again, on the form that the city has. By the way, this form is very helpful to the mere mortals like myself when we're reviewing these applications. So thanks for doing these. I wanted to find out the fee that's for this particular event is just $570. Is that the entire fee paid to Recs and Parks for this, or there are other components that are also paid besides what may have to be paid to police or security? Thank you very much, everyone.
Darlene, I'm told that Mr. Harris is trying to raise his hand. I'm not sure if you see it or not.
I see him, but I do not see his hand raised, but I will unmute him now.
Alrighty, great. Thank you.
Mr. Harris, you're unmuted.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a little ruffled here trying to get into this meeting, but I would like to tell you that I have personally done the research on this piece of property, and it is the most polluted with PFAS of anything we have checked in the Norwalk River, Saugatuck River, and all various tributaries. And the disturbing part is the worst two compounds, PFOS and PFOA, are very high. And I don't know if what's coming up is that the EPA has mandated that those two products be cranked down to 4 parts per trillion. And I know a trillion doesn't sound like much to you, one drop in a swimming pool. But here is the issue. The Deering Kellogg well fields, which are only 700 feet from where this pipe coming across the property discharges, have had trouble in the past meeting the old regs, which were 10 for PFOA and 16 for PFOS. They couldn't meet them. They had to shut 3 wells down one summer. How are they going to do this new one? 4 parts per trillion. Now, adding to the issue, we have a pipe coming across from the shopping center, across the playing field, discharging to the Norwalk River. Before that pipe gets to the river, there's one great big catch basin on Silvermine Avenue, where all the drainage from the fields will also be admitted. So we have a discharge into the river, which is concentrated, which is high in PFOA and PFOS. Just let me give you the range. The products we found, PFOS, were 4.8 to 43.5 parts per trillion. And the product of PFOA, 6.2 to 8.6 parts per trillion. So we do not have the technology to make that go away. It won't happen. All we can do at this point is stop adding to it. And if we put the playing field down, you're going to add 7 more flavors of PFOS and PFOA and other products. That's according to one of the world experts on playing fields, Dr. Graham Peasley from Notre Dame, who's a physicist and has done lifetime work on these fields. You can't clear up what's there, but you can stop adding to it. And here's the point, my point. Those fields, there's been a lot of pressure to put them in. I can understand that. Good sports, all that, school activities and so on. Problem is this. That stuff stays in your body for 8 years. The cells in your body love PFAS. If you can ingest lead or zinc or any of those other metals, they're out of your body in 60 days. So it's cumulative. It builds up. The problem with that is medical science now is finding out all kinds of cancers that are related to it. We have kidney, we have liver, we have prostate, and now the latest one, brain cancer. Do you want your kids to go out and play on these fields and maintain great contact with them and just keep your fingers crossed maybe 10 years from now, nothing's going to happen? There's one other issue. These fields are good for 8 years. What are we going to do then? They have to be rolled up, transported somewhere, and buried. And in being buried, they'll be in contact with groundwater. But they are dangerous products The people that are going to have to handle those fields are going to be in hazmat suits. There's going to be all kinds of environmental restrictions about where they go and how they're put away. And just think about it. There's a lot of garbage here. Where is it going to go? You can't burn it. It has to be buried. These are considerations that I think you have to have. And I'll repeat again, it is the worst site of any that I've done. And we've done the Norwalk River, Saugatuck River, a lot of different tributaries. This is the worst because number one, there was a fire department there, still is, which undoubtedly sprayed foam around. That doesn't go away either. The Kellogg Deering well fields have already been a Superfund. Why? Because solvents have migrated across from buildings on Route 7 into the water.
I'm sorry, Mr. Harris, you're beyond your 3 minutes.
Thank you. That's all I have to say.
We have nobody else raising their hand, Ms. Young.
Okay. So if there's no one else in attendance, we will call the public hearing portion closed. Thank you. And please let the record show council member ended up at 7:05 p.m. please. There's no old business. We're going to move on to new business. Six, the mayor to an agreement for the use of Washington Street Plaza and immediate surrounding grounds by Gordon Fine Arts for the Sono Arts Festival to be held on Saturday, August 22nd and Sunday, August 3rd, 2025 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Setup time by 6 a.m. Saturday would tear down by 5 p.m. Sunday. Approximately 1,000 people. Someone move the item, please. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Mr. Lopez raised his hand.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. My connection is bad and it's going in and out. I'm sorry. Okay. And so we have Ms. Sue Gordon here.
Sue Brown Gordon is here to speak on this.
Hi there.
Go ahead, Sue.
Hi, thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
I'm sorry, Miss Gordon. I think you're on here twice, so I think
Sue, we're getting awful feedback.
Yep, sorry. I'm gonna just.
Chair, if you keep getting internet problems, maybe you might have to maybe turn off the camera for a bit, see if that'll improve. If you keep coming across
I was just thinking that someone else is going to
Yeah.
have to read it. No, you all are freezing every couple of minutes. It's I may have to hand this off, and Delene or Robert, you can decide, or somebody can read these items. Miss Brown, Miss Gordon.
I guess maybe we
Miss
can
Gordon.
come back
No,
to her.
Miss Gordon.
It seems like she might have lost her audio.
Her audio.
Maybe
Okay,
we-
so we're gonna come back to Miss Gordon. So we're gonna move on to 6B. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Willing, to enter into an agreement for the use of Washington Street Plaza and immediate surrounding grounds by the city of Norwalk for their Sono Saturday market to be held on Saturday, June 28th, July 26th, and August 30th and 7th, 2025 from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at a time by 9 a.m. would tear down by 1:30 p.m. Approximately. If I someone move in, please. Thank you, Ms. Shanahan. And we have Ms. Sabrina.
I think Anna or Sabrina, Anna.
Or
please.
Anna,
Hi.
I'm sorry. Hi,
Hi.
Anna.
Yep, it's Anna. Hi there. So this is a brand new event for us. We had a huge desire from local makers and restaurants for a space for them to do their business. And we have done the Sono Farmers Market back at Ryan Park before, and we wanted it in a more trafficked location where cars are driving by. Mind you, we're not closing the street. We're just strictly staying within the Washington Street Park. But we have about over 30 vendors, and I want to say about 75 to 80% of those are Norwalk local small businesses. So they will all be set up on the lawn, and we'll have live music. And we will not have food trucks because part of our efforts here was to get the crowd to the restaurants on Washington Street and in South Norwalk, which is why we are ending it at 1 p.m. And we are having them on the last Saturday of each summer month. So that would be June 28th, July 26th, August 30th, and September 27th. This was just so it's not happening so often that it gets old, but it's far enough apart that there's more of a desire to attend because it's not that frequent. And yeah, I think that's it.
Do we have questions? Do we have any questions for Anna? No questions, comments? Okay. All in favor? All in favor? Okay. Approved. Anna, thank you very much. Wish you
Thank you.
success on this. I think the
Thank you so
location
much.
will be great.
Thank you.
Let the record show done. Has showed up as in attendance. I don't see the time here. I think I'm going to give this to somebody because my computer is freezing too often and I want to get on my phone. Can you
I
all
can
hear
read
me?
I can read the items.
Please do, because while I transition,
Sure.
you are freezing
Sure.
every 2 minutes.
Sure. Authorize
Are
the
we
mayor.
okay with that, Mr.
Oh.
Stowers?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Mr. Stowers, you're okay with that? Okay, sorry. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Okay, item C, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of the Nathaniel Ely School Field and immediate surrounding grounds by Project 9 Foundation Community Cookout to be held on Saturday, August 16th, 2025 from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Setup time 7 a.m. with tear down by 7 p.m., approximately 75 people. Would somebody like to move the item? I don't think we have anybody here to speak on it.
Yeah, Mr. Fuller was supposed to be here, but couldn't get here. But this is an event that has occurred the last couple of years, and we haven't had any negative feedback from the event, and we always have a staff person there. So I'm in favor of the council, the committee, to go ahead and approve this event.
So all in favor of the event, if there are no more questions? Comments? Opposed, abstentions? Okay. I think that was unanimous.
Okay, item D, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of Matthews Park and immediate surrounding grounds by Tyson Tours for their Back Together Again and Family and Friends to be held on Sunday, August 17th, 2025 from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Setup time by 11:30 a.m. and tear down by 8:30 p.m., approximately 300 people. Would somebody like to move the item?
I will. Shanahan.
Thank you.
Good
Right.
evening, everyone.
Martina Tyson.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Marvita Tyson, and this would be my second in Norwalk, the Back Together Again with family and friends. Last year, the mansion was not available, so I didn't have it in Norwalk. But this came about after COVID, when we were all on the lockdown and we couldn't get together to see our family and friends. And it's just a big family and friends reunion. We have live music, we have vendors, um, and we just have a great time. So I like to bring it back to Norwalk, as I am a native Norwalker. While I'm not there now, but I am a native Norwalker, and I like to bring different things back to Norwalk for the community.
Any more questions or comments? No. Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question to the caller, the speaker. What essentially what type of event is this?
What type of event is it? So we just gathered together. We have live music. Everyone brings their chairs. There's vendors. There's 2 food trucks. And we just have a time, just like a reunion, like a family and friends reunion.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Very similar to the free concert series that you all have on the beach or on the green. Very similar to that.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Lopez, the last time they had it was 2 years ago. And as she stated, it was skipped because of the construction at Matthews. So it was very successful. Last time we monitored it, we had staff there. Had no incidents. Everything went really well. So again, we recommend this for approval.
Great, thank you, Rob.
Okay. If you all can hear me, all in favor? Okay. Thank you. I think that's opposed. Abstention? All right. Thank you, Ms. Tyson.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Madam Chair, yes.
Item E, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of Washington Street Plaza and immediate surrounding grounds by Sono Entertainment for their Black Heritage Parade to be held on Saturday, September 13th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Setup time by 7 a.m. with tear down by 10:45 p.m. Approximately 100 people. Would somebody like to move the item? Thank you, Ms. Ayers. I don't think there's anybody here to speak on it.
Yes, I believe Sweet Sweets is here. That's her.
You got it. Okay, hold on. Melody, you're unmuted.
Yep. Could you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. I didn't realize it said Sweet Sweets, but I am Sweet Melody. Good evening, everyone. So this was moved from, first, I just want to address Diane CC because I did take notes and I seen her concerns with Washington Street Plaza and surrounding areas. However, 2 other people before me came and she didn't have any questions of what surrounding areas meant to them. One being the Sono Arts Festival. They requested to use Washington Street Plaza and surrounding areas. And the city of Norwalk requested to use, it read the same way as mine. So I'm not sure why she doesn't understand what my surrounding areas are, but understands them with no interruptions. But just to elaborate a little bit, because it's after the parade. So, okay, let me start all over. This is the parade. So we're marching from Webster Lot, which is the backside of Washington Street Plaza. We're coming out. Our intent is to come out right there on the MLK side and start from the top of North Main Street, just like the St. Patrick's Day Parade. But because there was an issue with the uses of Veterans Park, we circled back and came up with a different route, because I understand that the Oyster Festival is there and they have a contract for until the end of the month, and they will have things on the field. And I was upset. I have to be honest. However, out of that came out an even better plan. So now what we will do is we will, instead of us going across the bridge to Veterans Park, we'll make the right on Water Street, and we'll make the other right on Hanford Place and end up in front of the police department, and make that right and come back down to South Norwalk and end at the Washington Street Plaza. That will be our let out. And just like the city of Norwalk, we have a certain amount of vendors who've signed up thus far. And we have live music as well. But the good part of not being at Vets Park that I'm thrilled about is that now we get to include the businesses. So now it's coming out, the businesses that want to support the Black Heritage Parade, which all of them do, a lot of them do. They're excited to hear it. Hasn't been around in 27 years. 27 years, and I'm getting nothing but hats off and thank you for doing this, for spearheading it. And it's not just me, it's a committee behind me. So when I made the plea, I went on Facebook Live and we created a committee immediately. And I think it's important in Norwalk that we show the diversity. We show the Black heritage excellence, the contribution, the knowledge, and everything that we have to offer, just like the Italian parade, just like the St. Patrick's Day parade, just like there's another parade, just like the Pride. I mean, she's not interrupting anything. No one's going against any of these things, but I'm receiving such flack about this Black Heritage Parade at any time with Diane Cece, namely, and I'm not sure what she doesn't understand about it. Now, if I made errors once again, I apologize, because when I was doing these events, everything was on paper. So now everything's digital. So I may check something wrong, but I'm all for correcting it. And as far as her comments about the police, I've hired 4 police officers that cost almost $6,000. So with her comment about the donations, I need the donations. I shouldn't have to pay for this. So far with the carnival, I'm up to $10,000 in fees. So I'm selling wristbands, t-shirts. I'm asking for donations. We're looking for sponsors. So the same thing for the parade. I can't fund it myself. So I'm looking for donations, sponsors, and anybody else in the community that wants to see this. And people want to see this, not just Black people, white people, Irish. And I spoke with O'Neill's, and I let them know that they inspired me to birth this because of their unity and they sticking together from a small parade to what it grew into right now and still growing. Why can't we? So that's what I want to use the Washington Plaza for. And I'm hoping that I could get you all support, because there hasn't been a Black parade in 27 years. Why not? And why not do it in South Norwalk? And a lot of the people here in South Norwalk, they were a little upset that we were only making the right on Washington Street and going straight to East Norwalk. They said, why aren't you coming further in South Norwalk? So with this new plan, we're actually going through South Norwalk, through the streets where people can't get to. They could come outside and watch the parade, be a part of the parade. At the end of the parade, the businesses, it'll be like the businesses are coming outside also. So this is the perfect spot to do the parade let out. We're going to end where we started and include the neighboring community and businesses also. Not sure if I hope I answered all the questions. And $570 with the fee, I guess she can probably figure that out. But we are a nonprofit. So there may be a special price for nonprofits. Oh, and the reason why it's that long in the day is because I don't know how long it's going to take to to set up and break down. So I want to give the vendors adequate time to where they're not rushed, where we're not micromanaged, that we said we'll be out at 7:30 and it's not. I just wanted to make way for time for people to break down. I don't know how long it'll take to break the stage down. So I just wanted to, and I see what the curfew is, so I just went with the curfew. That's it.
Do we have any further questions for Ms. Reagan? I don't know whose hand was up first, so Ms. Ayers?
Thank you, and I do apologize, Chair. I'm in the car, had to work out of state today. and I apologize to my colleagues for being late. I'm going to make a statement, and my statement is my statement. It doesn't need to be added to. First of all, we always want to encourage community members to sponsor events that represent their heritage, their pride, and the history of Norwalk. We have a very extensive historical society in Norwalk that speaks of a lot of work and efforts that have been made for this population of our community. Those people who have had connections with Black heritage. It was last month or the month before part of this came to the entire council, and 2 people spoke, which is their right to speak. But their mannerisms and their language in addressing these 2 events, one is a fundraiser so that you can sponsor the other events, is insulting. It's insulting. We have very capable, we have very honest, and we have very diligent city workers who spend equal time on all requests and contracts that come from citizens and entities and other people to have things in the city of Norwalk. I would love to hear 4 months ago when we passed the Oyster Festival, who also sells liquor, who also sells admittance into the Oyster Festival. I would have loved to hear some I would have loved to hear some concern and the same questions aligned with the Oyster Festival. Which, guess what? The Oyster Festival, there's more than 4 police there at the Oyster Festival. Okay? And so I think we need to be mindful as we are neighborly to each other, that my way of doing things may be a little different than your way of doing things. And my way of celebration may be a little different than your way of celebration. Does not make it right, does not make it wrong, but you cannot tote in one moment that we are a diverse Norwalk, but in the same token, want to find ways to stop things that you just might not understand. It's not okay. And when it came to the full council, I sat in my seat and I bit my tongue and I didn't say anything. But I will not allow this meeting to go forward without saying that we need to be mindful of how we are treating everybody. Everybody. And if you have a concern, that is your right to have a concern. If you have a question, have the equal question to every entity. Please do not pick on a particular organization that is trying to do something to celebrate not only their heritage, but what they have done here in the city of Norwalk. And so I call you Sweets, but Melanie, we thank you. I thank you for these efforts. I thank you for taking the flag and saying that you want to celebrate in this way. And I thank the city staff for working with you to make sure that your application met every requirement that the city has. And that's what you have to do. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers. Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question. I know a caller mentioned that there was like some discrepancy between 100 attendees or 200. Just for the record, could the speaker just quickly clarify if it's 100 or 200?
It can be 200. If I put 200, I mean, it's a parade. I don't know how it's going to be attended. As this is the first one, I'm hoping that we do hit something like that. So let's go for it.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Can't see any. So I'm not going to go into it as Ms. Ayers just did, because I think she covered it all. But I do want to say I agree, and I think we need to think about those things before we approach how we approach different events and comment on different events in the city. We can have our concerns, but it needs to be the same concerns for the same types of events that take place in the city. And Miss Reagan, I commend you for all of your hard work and effort. I can't remember, I remember a long time ago, many, many years ago, when there was an African American Day Parade in South Norwalk that came through South Norwalk. And you know the history as well. So they have happened intermittently through the decades. And I'm hoping that this becomes something that is a regular event for the city moving forward. And I commend our department, Recreation and Parks, who does their work and is supporting you and your efforts and leading you through this, because it is a learning experience. And so if you happen to get something wrong or say something different on an application, here is the opportunity to correct it. And so I know it's going to be successful. And I thank you for all of your hard work and effort and everyone that's helped you. It's a team effort. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now you ladies got me crying in front of an audience.
But that's okay. That's okay. So all in favor, if there aren't any more comments or suggestions, all in favor? Ms. Dunn, did you have your hand up to speak? I'm sorry. If she's in favor, okay, because I can't see the whole screen. All right, so it must be unanimous. Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
all.
you,
Have
and
a
you
great
stay
day.
around. You got one more, I think. So don't go
I do?
away.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right, let me freshen up then.
Yeah. So where are we now? We are on E?
We are
No,
on
we're
F.
F, thank you. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of Matthews Park and immediate surrounding grounds by the Norwalk Conservatory for their Broadway in the Park to be held on Saturday, August 23rd, Saturday, August 30th, and Saturday, September 6th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., approximately 400 people. Someone move the item, please. Okay, go ahead. Who do we have here to speak to that?
Hello, my name is Danny Loftus George. I'm president at the Norwalk Conservatory of the Arts. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you, Danny. So you tell us a little bit about the event, please?
Absolutely. So this is our 4th annual Broadway in the Park concert. Each year it highlights our students who are currently pursuing degrees within the arts, musical theater, music theater, dance, and television and film. We are currently actually working on launching a bachelor's through the state, which is very exciting. It's the first bachelor's program in our town. This is a big event in which we sing Broadway show tunes for the community. It attracts many Norwalk residents as well as residents locally from all the different towns. It's held each year. We took a break last year because of the renovations at the park. We're excited to come back and to do it once more. It's always very well attended and really nice to have some arts in the community.
Yes, it is. So we appreciate you. 4 years, you got a good start here.
I can't even believe it. I only know because my son is 4. So
Wow. So does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. George? Nope. All in favor? Please raise your hand. All right. Looks good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You as
G, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of Brian McMahon Field and immediate surrounding grounds by EJ's Heart for their Walk for EJ to be held on Saturday, July 12th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., approximately 125 people. Someone move the item, please. Thank you, Ms. Ayers. Did we have this already? No, that was Terrence. Is Mr. Gilmore here or Fritza? There's no one here to speak to this item?
If you're here to speak to this item, can you please raise your hand?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Okay. Mr. Stowers, do you want to talk about it a little bit?
I'll speak to it. Can you hear me? Can
Yes.
everyone hear?
Yes, we can.
Well, we're in favor of doing as many walks as we can in terms of, it's just our mission for health and safety, and particularly runs or walks that benefit causes. So we're in favor of this EJ's Heart walk, and it looks like they've applied for their permits, and it looks like everything's in order, and we recommend approval of this event.
Okay. Does anyone else have any comments? Okay. So just before we do that, I've known Mr. Gilmore, before he had, he was married when he was really working at the Carver, just starting out, and he and his wife have done an amazing thing to start this EJ's Walk for their son, Elijah, who passed away. And I think this is just a great thing to keep that memory going, but doing something in a way that is healthy and promoting heart health, and keeping that in the forefront, and keeping the awareness up in the community. So I think this is just a great thing, and hope that this continues for many years to come. All in favor? Opposed? Thanks. Perfect. H, schedule a public hearing on the following action. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements and other documents necessary to grant an electrical and gas utility easement to Eversource in the vicinity of William Street, Norwalk, Connecticut. Should I just read H1 as well with that? Robert?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes.
Yes, okay. H1, referral to Planning and Zoning Commission for CGS State Statute 8-24 review and report. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements and other documents to grant an electrical and gas utility easement to Eversource in the vicinity of William Street, Norwalk, Connecticut. Someone move the item, please. Thank you, Ms. Shanahan.
So, Madam Chair, you probably recognize these items. We actually approved these items back in our March meeting. And after further discussion with Corporation Counsel, they would like us to hold a public hearing. So what we're doing here is we're asking this committee to schedule a public hearing for July 9th at 7 p.m. and to also send these two items to the P&Z Commission for a P&Z referral.
Do we have any questions about this? Any questions from the committee? No? All right. All in favor? All right. It's unanimous. So we're going to move on to I, schedule a public hearing for the following action item. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all documents and other documents necessary to grant an electrical and gas utility easement to Eversource in the vicinity of Calf Pasture Beach, Norwalk, Connecticut. 1, referral to Planning and Zoning Commission for CGS State Statute 8-24 review and report. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements and other documents to grant an electrical and gas utility easement to Eversource in the vicinity of Calf Pasture Beach, Norwalk. Calf Pasture Beach Road, Norwalk, Connecticut. Someone move that item, please. Thank you, Ms. Ayers.
So, Madam Chair,
Okay.
this is the same. If you remember, there were two projects. One was right outside of Nathan Hale Middle School, and then the other was on the corner of Beach Road at the area of Marvin School.
Okay. All in favor, and the same date, right?
Same day. It'll be July 9th at 7 p.m.
Okay. All in favor? All right. All right. Okay. Authorize. So I think, I don't know if we want to say something before we read these, or we're just going to vote on them as we go.
Then you're gonna, we're at J?
Yeah, K, L, and M.
We still have to
So-
do J, Darlene.
I'm sorry, I scribbled over J. Authorize Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute all documents with Friends of the Norwalk River Valley Trail related to the maintenance of the NRVT trail between Union Park and New Canaan Avenue. Someone move the item, please. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Okay.
This is a request from the mayor and also the legal department. We have been negotiating a contract with the NRVT for maintenance. This will not cost us any money. There's no money passed to this contract. It's just simply an internal operation document. And so we've been advised for the committee to authorize the mayor to sign any such contract. So that's what this is for.
Any questions, comments from committee members? All right, all in favor? Heather, did you have a question? I'm sorry, when you flash over, I just want to make sure that I'm catching you. Do you have a question? Yes, you can. Okay, all in favor? Unanimous. All right, thank you. Okay. Authorize the.
Here, Jalen, Councilperson C's hand is raised. I don't know if
I'm
you
sorry,
can see it.
Jalen.
No problem. Sorry, I'm not on this committee, but I think that I don't know if we did or if you guys did A under new business. I know she had technical difficulties.
Yeah, we didn't come back to her. I don't know if she's still there.
Oh, is she still here? Yeah, thank you. Sue Gordon?
Yeah, she's still here.
Okay, thank you for that. So let's go back to A, whether she's here or not. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of Washington Street Plaza and immediate surrounding grounds by Gordon Fine Arts for their Sono Arts Festival to be held on Saturday, August 2nd and Sunday, August 3rd, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Set up time by 6 a.m. Saturday with tear down by 5 p.m. Sunday. Approximately 1,000 people. Someone move this, please. Thank you, Ms. Ayers. So, I mean, this is something that's been going on for a very long time in the city. I don't know, Ken or Robert, if you've got any concerns from the prior events, but
No concerns. I was wondering if Sue, is she audible? Sue?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Sue?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, goody. Sorry about that technical difficulty. I was so concerned that I had you on my phone and my computer and blew them both up.
I've done the same. I'm with you today.
Very excited to have the show run again. Excited to be back in Norwalk. For all the reasons that the people that spoke before me about the arts and culture in Norwalk and our identity of culture and positive things that impact everyone in our community and make living here a better place. So thank you. I'm happy to address any concerns you might have. Based on our past track record, I think things have gone relatively smoothly, and I'm very happy to address any concerns anyone might have. But we're moving right along and happy to be back the first weekend of August.
Well, we're
Thank
happy
you.
to have you back. Does anyone have any comments or questions for Ms. Gordon? Okay. If not, all in favor? I think it's unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Gordon, and thank you for holding on.
Oh, thank you very much for circling back, and I'll do better next time.
Have a good evening. Okay. Okay.
I think, Madam Chair, I think if you read,
We need to have, you need to want to talk about it?
Well, no, I think when you read, I think you read all of them at once, not just one at a time. And then we can go back and I can talk about them.
Okay.
Madam Chair, before you begin to read, I have a question, a point of privilege. After the public hearing last month, I had asked about the hybrid option. I don't see this identified in any of these options. Am I
No,
overlooking
so
it?
what, I think, aren't there two hybrids?
It's in K.
It's K.
Oh, it's K. Okay, let me go back. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll read them all together and then we can have a discussion. K, authorize the director of the Department of Recreation and Parks to move forward with the completion of a hybrid model baseball field design for the newly proposed Broad River Baseball Complex. It would feature a grass outfield and synthetic infield for each field. L, authorize the director of the Department of Recreation and Parks to move forward with the completion of a baseball field design for the newly proposed Broad River Baseball Complex. It would feature a grass outfield and clay infield for each field. And M, authorize the director of the Department of Recreation and Parks to move forward with the completion of a baseball field design for the newly proposed Broad River Baseball Complex. It would feature a grass outfields and grass infields for each field. So there are three options: grass outfield, synthetic turf, grass outfield, clay infield, and both grass outfield and grass infield. Mr. Stowers, I don't know how we want to move forward with this. Comments from the committee members?
I think I'd like to speak on it.
Okay.
We have to move the item before that, or can we have a discussion before?
We're going to move all three together and then vote on one.
Yeah, I guess you can do that. I don't know the process, whether we should vote for one, take one at a time, but I'd like to just speak on how this came about. I'd like to speak on that, if that's okay with the council.
So I will probably, I think just to move it forward, I think I would move it all three items forward. Does that make sense to folks, so that we're at least moving items forward to vote on? Or should we just?
I feel like we could move all three, but then I think we do need to vote separately on each of the three.
Yes. So I will move them all forward. And then you can go ahead, Mr. Stowers.
As you know, we had a public hearing last week or last month, and we heard from the citizens, and we heard from the citizens of Norwalk, and you all heard. And so it's our position as a staff, it's our responsibility to have a public hearing and hear from the public. But now it's your responsibility now to direct us in a vote for one of these to go forward. When I arrived in my first budget, this item had already been approved in terms of the amount of money that they thought that was estimated to take place at that time. Because of my experience with these matters and coming from a place that have went through some of these concerns and situations, that looking at a fully synthetic field was really the initial push. That was the initial design for a complete synthetic field. And as I stated, listening to the concerns of the community, knowing that there have been concerns earlier where I came from, we discussed this among ourselves with operations chief and Ken and other staff members. And we decided that one of the options we wanted to put forward, and we wanted to put all three options forward, but one of the options we wanted to do, it was a hybrid model. We thought that the hybrid model would be the best compromise for the citizens of Norwalk, knowing the concerns of the sports, the high schools, the colleges, and knowing about our maintenance issues and our lack of staff, and the reasons, some of the reasons why synthetic fields came into being initially. And those reasons was that a lot of sports are not now seasonal anymore. A lot of sports are year round. And in order to play year round, that's how the synthetic fields really came into being. There was an answer for that back 20, 25 years ago. We're not pushing any particular design. We are giving you the options. And the synthetic fields seem to be the best option for the concerns, because it would cut what would have been a whole synthetic field. It would cut it to the synthetic only being about a third or a fourth of the field. So we thought it would be a compromise. But tonight you have three options before you. You have, of course, the clay and the grass field, which won't have any synthetic application to it. And then we have the grass and grass field, which we don't particularly recommend, because grass and grass, you can't have tournaments on grass and grass fields. So it's our recommendation that you really have two options here, and that is the clay and grass and the synthetic and grass. And so that is what we're here just to give you the options and to give you some history, and that's all we're going to do. The public has made their comments and concerns known to you, and so now we need to get a vote so we can have some kind of field out there. So thank you. Any questions, I will answer.
I have a question or two, Mr. Stowers.
Mm-hmm.
If that's okay, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So the first question I have is, I think that Ms. Loricella is correct, that we really haven't fully priced out what it takes to, to buy the turf, maintain the turf, and then pick up the turf and dispose of it. So have you been able to do any more further research about, what it is on an annual basis to, you do have to put disinfectant on it. You have to cool it down when it's hot. So you have to use water and things like that. There's also having to refill the crumb rubber when that, kind of gets undone and things like that. And then of course the disposal of the field. So I was wondering if you have figures about that, because when we're not comparing apples to oranges or bananas. We just need to, each of the fields really needs to be kind of mapped out. So can you help us with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna have Ken. Ken is our numbers guy. He's the guy that helps me get the figures together for budgets, for projections, and he looks into everything. He knows maintenance, and I like the back of his hand. But before I get to that, we're not going to use crumb rubber. We're going to be using either cork. We're going to be using a different infill. We're not using crumb rubber. Just because you indicated the crumb rubber. But I'm going to let Ken talk about the maintenance and the cost and that, and then we can have some more questions.
Yes, thank you. So a couple things. Like Robert alluded to, with the black crumb rubber infill, heat was an issue. So, a few years ago when we installed the West Rocks complex, we did look at the heat issue, and we actually installed what they call a cool play material, which is an encapsulated crumb rubber, which actually lowers the temperature of the turf 30 to 40 degrees when compared to a black crumb rubber infill. So we haven't really seen heat on these new fields to be an issue. We also use that same material on the softball field. It's a encapsulated crumb rubber. It's called Cool Play.
So can I just ask you, just to be
Sure.
for clarification, are you going to use crumb rubber this time, like the
No,
encapsulation? So you're
no.
going to use a third product now?
We're actually looking to use a all-natural product, whether it be a corn husk material, whether it be a cork material. So we're getting rid of, away from the rubber infill totally. So we don't even install irrigation on the fields anymore. So watering down the field for heat is really a thing of the past. We haven't wet down West Rocks. We haven't wet down the high school softball field either. So we don't even install the spigots on the fields anymore. So, you know, back in the day with the black crumb rubber, yes, fields, they get hot and they had to hose them down to keep them cool. And also with the new turf, we don't use disinfectants. It's not recommended by the manufacturer. There was some talk during COVID if we had to, but we never proceeded with that. What we do is we groom the fields, but we don't apply any type of chemicals as a disinfecting agent on the fields. So Robert did ask me for some numbers in terms of maintenance on our clay fields versus maintenance on artificial fields. So what I did is I broke out a per field cost, and being that there's 3 fields at Broad River, obviously we're multiplying the numbers I got by 3. So to break it down, so the estimated annual cost for maintaining 3 fields, grass outfield with a clay infield, runs about $170,000 plus a $95,000 one-time charge to have a maintenance building on the field. So that's for your grass outfield, clay infields. And what does that include? So that includes the mowing 2 to 4 times a week in season. It includes your fertilizer and weed control, all organics. It includes aeration, the overseeding, the top dressing, and it includes your irrigation, the water costs and the repairs. And that also includes your clay and conditioner for the mounds and the base areas, your dragging and leveling and the edging of the field, and then your base replacement, your chalk, your field marking paint, and then your weekend games overtime, which includes your staff and your supervisors. So those numbers are for your turf outfield and a clay infield. So the estimated annual cost for an artificial turf infield ended up being $21,952 per field, which works out to be $65,800 for the 3 fields. And that includes your yearly visit from a subcontractor for GMAX testing and minor repairs they have to do when on site, 3 weekly man hours for minor field repairs and any infill replacement that's needed, mowing because we still have the outfields to mow, fertilizer and weed control because we still have the grass in the outfields, and then your aeration and overseeding for the outfields, and then any irrigation needed for the outfields. So that once again, the estimated annual cost, and these are real numbers. I took these numbers that we use to maintain our other artificial fields around town, as well as our other clay fields. So once again, the estimated annual cost for 3 fields for the grass outfield and clay infield was $170,760. And the estimated annual cost for an artificial turf infield, grass outfield, worked out to be $65,856. So that kind of explains the maintenance and what goes into maintaining a clay infield. As it was alluded to, if we had a complex with a clay infield and a grass outfield, the way to do it properly would be to have a staff member assigned just to that site. When you see these beautiful, natural grass complexes, they have a maintenance crew, and that's all they do. They stay on site and they maintain that field every day. As I stated, to do it right, you have to mow the grass 2 to 3 times a week. You're on top of your weeds, you're on top of your fertilization, you're on top of the irrigation. So it is maintenance intensive. And that's our biggest complaint that we receive right now. We have a hard time maintaining these fields that we have, especially with weather conditions like we had these last couple of weeks. It just makes it very difficult, especially with not having staff dedicated to that one site. So if you guys have any questions on the numbers or how I came about certain things, just please feel free to ask.
Well, just to follow up, you didn't answer my question about what it costs to rip up one of these fields and to dispose of it.
Sure. So back when we had the last field that we did replacement to was Norwalk High School, and that was back in 2017. And the total project cost was $401,000, and that include the removal of the existing turf. But we also bagged and salvaged the existing infill. So what they did is they vacuumed out all the existing crumb rubber and they used it onto the field. So there was somewhat of a cost saving there. So I do have the total cost of the install, which included their removal.
Are you done, Ms. Shanahan? Yeah, okay. Ms. Edie?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Stowers and Ken for the information. I do I think you just said you would have a separate person maintain if it's grass infield and outfield, correct?
If there's a grass outfield and a clay infield, ideally, we would need someone on site just to maintain that complex. Having 3 fields like that to keep it in premium quality condition, you do need a staff member assigned to that site. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have that staff member available.
Right, and that's fine. I'm okay, and I'm okay with that. I didn't see the pros and cons in the backup for the grass. I only see the synthetic and the traditional clay.
Do you mean the grass infield?
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't recommend, to be honest with you, I don't think you've ever seen a baseball field with an all grass infield. It just doesn't work. It wouldn't be able to be maintained. Like Robert alluded to, we couldn't have tournaments on it. So we don't even want to look at that option because it just wouldn't serve anybody well.
No, that's fine. So when you say infield, we're talking about the diamond that the bases.
The diamond, correct.
So that's dirt. I'm thinking that's dirt anyway. I know it's clay dirt. But that's normally how it is in on the pitcher's mound, right? So that's normal.
So there's typically the pitcher's mound and an expanded area around the running bases, the running path.
Right.
Is clay, and then you have a grass diamond on the interior of the infield.
Right, in the pitcher's mound. So that to me that's normal. Okay, and I'm okay with that as well. I don't know. I know there was a lot of comment about not having turf, and I understand that. We would need to, if we went with the clay, I am in agreement to try to help get funds, and all those that oppose the turf, I would be looking for those people to be able to help us, maybe fundraise or whatever, to help keep the fields up, because I know that is a huge concern. I am not in favor of turf fields, knowing that most colleges, and someone said this during the one of the public hearings, that most of the colleges use turf fields. Most of the pro stadiums don't, except for 5. But there were numerous. My son played college football and tore his ACL. And there were other students who also tore the ACL, and they did have turf. So I just wanted to express that I'm totally, I on top of the environmental effects, I'm also concerned about the injuries. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Thank you.
I think I saw Miss Ayers, and then Mr. Seed, and then Mr. Lopez.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is a financial question. So Ken, I guess this is going to you. You have clearly stated that we would have to identify one person to take care of this field if it's a non-turf field. You just kind of answered my question with my former colleague saying you have not identified, or you have not hired, or we don't have that person as of yet. Some of the concerns that I have is the quality of our current fields, and not pointing a finger or giving any blame to anybody. The struggle that Parks and Rec has with the cutting and the keeping up of what we currently have. And now that we are now in this budget crisis, how do we, from your expertise, Ken, how do we what do we have to give up? Because I hear both sides of the argument, but I don't ever hear anyone offering a solution of how we're going to pay for this. I hear both sides saying, I want, but I don't hear any options or any recommendations of how to get what they want. Has the Parks and Rec Department kind of figured out, either way, turf or non-turf, how would we pay for this with the current budget constraints that we have? Since this neither option is maintenance is put into the current budget.
So there is basic maintenance in the current budget because the site does exist. So we are cutting the grass there. We are doing some minimal work on the fields. So there is a little bit of money in terms of maintenance. My fear is, you know, when this much money is spent on a complex, the expectation, as well it should be, is you're going to have a prime, you know, baseball complex, and you're going to want to keep it that way. So the level of maintenance is going to be higher than expected on a traditional normal field that already exists in Norwalk. I mean, you know, we're looking to spend upwards of $9 million on this project. So we're going to want to take care of that, and we're going to want to take care of that the way we're supposed to.
But is it my understanding, and maybe I did not understand clearly, that with the basic maintenance that we have, that is currently not sufficient because we can't keep up with these fields? Did I misunderstand that, Mr. Hughes?
No, you're correct. And plus, because they're existing clay fields, you know, we have issues when it rains. You know, the fields can't be used as any clay field can't be used when it rains. And also with this project, we're increasing the number of fields. So now there's 2 fields. We're going to be increasing to 3 fields.
So currently what we have budgeted is not sufficient.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Having that understanding, thank you for that. Can you just, and I think we talked about this briefly, the alternatives in, I think I said to you, oh, I saw about cork. And then you said, oh, there are other alternatives. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit, please?
Sure. So, I mean, you know, the turf industry, you know, obviously is hearing all these concerns and they want to sell their product. So they're coming out with natural products for the infill material, the material that sits between the blades of the artificial grass. You know, one of those objects is a cork material. They also have like a corn husk material. So there's probably 4 or 5 different natural materials that act as an infill in your turf system. So that's what we'd be looking at, you know, for this field, if that's what was decided by the committee.
Those, and I don't know, I apologize. Do those natural alternatives lower the PFOS or no?
Well, the infields, the infields that he's talking about, they're not PFAS. They don't have PFAS in them. Just the infields I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anything else. But they have been tested. In fact, before I came here in Seattle, we have been using cork for the last 10 years. So did away with crumb rubber years ago because of the same concerns. And so those alternatives are real, and they're good alternatives. So that cuts down some of the you know, concerns. It does. I wanted to not because I'm advocating anything, but because Nicole, Ms. Eddy, Councilwoman Eddy, as the pro football, baseball, as they go inside, they're using more, and they're not going away from synthetic. They're actually using more synthetic. And even in the grass outfields, in pro baseball, they're starting to use synthetic infield because it's always been the compromise alternative to trying to compromise on concerns.
Okay, so I think Mr. Lopez and then Ms. Shannon. I'm sorry,
Um,
Ms. Ayers, were you done? I'm sorry, were you done?
You
with your
could,
question?
you could go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Chair, I think Ms. Shanahan was up next, so I'll go after.
No, but I've already had a question, so you go ahead, and then I have some follow-up questions and some actual research that I understand that I need to share with the group.
Okay, no, I was going to say that I completely understand the eagerness for greater play opportunities and for consistent play. You know, I played in Norwalk, the Norwalk Junior Soccer Association. I twisted my ankle so many times on potholes. The ball would never roll as smooth as you would want. And but I also think that, you know, in this particular case, I also have to consider the exposure to potentially harmful chemicals to the kids. So I approach this in a dispassionate but objective manner to be able to ensure that, you know, we're not exposing our kids to really anything that's harmful or not polluting anything nearby. And so I am in favor of L, which is clay and clay and grass. And I understand that there's field maintenance is definitely going to be an issue. And so I'm offering myself to help enhance the field maintenance plan going forward. On sustainability, we're talking about putting together a bunch of one large task force. I mean, there's a lot of things going on that I think would be able to make enhancements in that respect. So that's really all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Ms. Shanahan?
Yeah, I did see Jalen's hand up, so I don't want to jump before
Oh,
Jalen.
okay, Jalen. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jalen.
No, Ms. Shanahan, you can go. I'm not on this committee. I'll go after.
All right, Ms. Shanahan, go. We're being so nice here. Go ahead.
No, I just don't know, jump ahead of the line. Well, a couple of things. I mean, and Robert knows this, so I just want to clarify one comment or one question that Nicole had about whether or not you eliminate PFAS by using cork infields. You don't. Each of those blades of grass have to go through a machine, and the way it intrudes through there, it's coated in PFAS so that it doesn't get stuck in the machine. So it's the grass blades themselves that also have PFAS coating in them, and those grass blades break off. They come in kids' shoes. They come home. So that's definitely a situation. And Robert and I sat through interviewing, and I think Ken was there too, the different turf manufacturers of artificial turf. One of the points that they made was that they prefer the crumb rubber because they think that there's less injuries to the students or to the athletes because the crumb rubber absorbs more. So they don't like the cork infields as well. They don't like the corn husks as well, but we don't really like crumb rubber because that just ups the PFAS contamination of the fields. So it's sort of a tricky situation. What I'd like to say, I mean, I guess, you know, if we're going to let Jalen go and then we'll take our vote, I just do want to just make a few points generally on this. I completely support the fields. I know that we are budgeted constrained and it breaks my heart. I wish we could find more money to make sure that we would have a dedicated staff member at any of these fields because sports is so important. And for my life, in my life, sports has been a critical part of every day that I live. And my kids were soccer players. They were on these artificial turf fields too. But the science is really clear. This PFAS and the plastic fields exude toxic chemicals. And if I knew more when my children were playing sports, I would never have let them be on one of those fields. It just terrifies me to think about the exposure of these toxic chemicals to children in these formative years. There's just no way around it. They're dangerous. There's just also a lot of research that the turf fields are dangerous for the kids from concussions, knee injuries, things like that are all higher on artificial turf fields than grass. So I don't know why people are really wanting to see their children play on a less safe field. It just knocks me out. But even if we weren't looking at that, just looking at the safety of our water supply, we're talking about one of the most sensitive water sheds in our city. This is one of 80 important sensitive water places, and we're going to put something we know contaminates waters with PFAS. And the EPA has said there's no safe level of PFAS. They're going to say 4 in a trillion right now, just because they don't want to say 0. But the answer is 0. There's no safe level of PFAS. So how is it possible that we would consider putting this close to the water fields? And not only on top of that, the state is going to be requiring that we clean the water fields with the water wells from PFAS. So we're actually going to spend money to put a field on that's going to contaminate our waters that we're going to be responsible to clean up. it's nonsensical to me. I can't make sense of it. So it just, in no world can I vote for any turf field. And that's just kind of where I come out. And a lot of the professional athletes now are wanting to get off artificial turf because they realize that their injury rates are going up, that it's safer for them to play on grass than on these turf fields. So I really ask, I did send a note to everybody that gave a lot of this data from scientific sources. You don't have to believe me. If anybody would like me to forward that email along to them again, the science is, I've got links to all of these different science situations. And of course, I'm really excited to hear what Jalen has to say because he's so involved with the water situation in Norwalk. So thank you.
Jalen?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys, and really appreciate the chance to speak. I'm not on this committee, but I really want to come to you guys not only as a commissioner of the First Taxing District, but also as a parent and a former athlete here in Norwalk. Like everybody who spoke in the leagues and everything, we want the best shot for our kids. We want them to have opportunities that we didn't have. And me personally, I want my kids to grow up to be great athletes and maybe even go pro so they could take care of the props one day. That'd be pretty cool if I could lay back. But more than anything, I want them to be safe. And I'm extremely concerned about PFAS. You guys know the concerns about PFAS for cancer, hormonal imbalances, liver and kidney damage, immune system suppression, and other developmental issues in kids. These chemicals are not a joke. And they last forever. They're called forever chemicals. At the First Taxing District, we're directly engaged in this, and we're actually part of a class action lawsuit against PFAS manufacturers like DuPont, because these chemicals have made their way into our system. And even though settlements are coming in, one of the biggest settlements ever in the history of the United States, and we're getting grants funded, the burden to remove the PFAS from the water is actually going to come from taxpayers, or like we call them in the First Taxing District, ratepayers, just to keep our water clean. So we talk about like money to upkeep these fields, like we're spending already a lot of money to clean up the water that's contaminated. Going back 30, 40 years ago, we thought it was a good idea to let the fire department do fire tests in the same area. And everybody thought it was a good idea, and we did it. And now we're finding PFAS in our well fields and in our water. So much to the fact that about 5 years ago, we actually shut down one of our well fields that's right down the block from this location, that we shut it down. We haven't used the well in over 5 years because the levels of PFAS are so high. So even in years of times of drought where that well was full and could have helped us, we have not used it because the water is so contaminated that it's not safe for Norwalk to drink. So this is a real issue that's right here. This is not just something that we're thinking about. This is not something that's just in theory. This is a hyper issue that we're fighting to find funding to clean our waters, to remediate things that we thought were a good idea, because of course we want to help our fire department. We want them to be ready for fires, but it's just not good. And again, like I'm a father, I want my kids to play sports. They love playing sports. But sometimes we have to tell our kids like something's not safe and we have to do right by them. And I think that that's important. And one way we're going to be paying either on the front end or the back end. So I think that we should do the right thing. PFAS is found in it's found in a lot of things and not just turf. But I don't think that we should be adding to the issue. Just don't think it's smart. So again, thank you for your time. And I think that we just got to do the right thing here.
Any more comments?
Yeah, I'd like to just in the discussion, but I'd like us to be really, really, really aware of the cost. And as Nicole says, the cost is always going to come back to haunt us, as it has in Norwalk and many other departments. But the cost of the clay field is nearly 3 times a year is nearly 3 times the cost of the synthetic fill in terms of maintenance. Also, the person that we would have to hire, and I'm all for that if the vote goes that way. The person we have to hire is not our average maintenance person, not our average maintenance person. We would have to hire a high-level person, horticulturalist, basically, a sports field horticulturalist to keep the field the way it needs to be. So it would be a higher level on a gardener, prime gardener level. So the staff costs plus the double cost or triple cost of the maintenance is going to be the responsibility of the council to fund. And so that's what we'd be asking for to go to clay and grass. That is what we would be asking for. So we just wanted to know what the true costs are as we go to vote.
Oh, Ms. Shanahan?
Yeah, so just to kind of level field it a little bit, it's not quite 3 times, because what we didn't factor in is what it costs to pick up that field and to find a place to remediate, you know, to give it. So like, even if you were just to amortize that 400,000, that's another $50,000 to add on top of the artificial turf expense. So it's not quite that same thing. And then again, of course, is what Jalen said, you know, we're talking about a different pocket that we're going to take a lot more money out to fix the field. So, you know, I feel as though we haven't really fully accounted for what a turf field would cost if we're not taking up the expense of the removal, and we're also not factoring in what we would have to spend to clean the water wells. So I just want to level field it a little bit.
Ms. Ayers?
If we have not, based on Councilperson Shanahan's last remarks, if we have not fully investigated what the cost is, why are we voting without all the information? Why isn't this object or this item or these items tabled until all this information is coming? Again, I hear, and I need to say this because people want to say I'm turf, I'm not turf. I'm neither way. I'm neither way. I really am neither way. I'm thinking about it from a budgetary standpoint, because guess what? The money has to come from somewhere, and the coffers are running low, and nobody wants their taxes to be increased. Let's just be honest. But you have to, either option has a payment. You're gonna have to pay something. So if what Ms. Shanahan has offered up is true, that we still are, there's still information that is outstanding, why aren't we tabling these items until we can all get this information and all digest it and understand it? That's the question, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Mr. Stowers and Mr. Hughes, so do we have some sort of figure or idea what cost to remediate?
We think that Ken has given you the cost.
I'm sorry, but to remediate.
Yeah, so back in, well, I have a 2017 cost to remove a field, to remove and replace a field, which is much larger than the 3 Broad River fields, because that included the entire football field over at Norwalk High School. So, and that cost was about $400,000, which included removing the old.
And replacement.
And the replacement with new.
And the replacement.
And that was done in late 2017.
I thought I heard Ms. Young ask what it costs to remediate the water wells.
No,
Well, my further question is then what is it going to take to remediate the water fields? Because there will be an increase in PFAS in that. And Jalen maybe can help us with that as he's got more expertise.
Right now, the initial analysis that we're still waiting to get approved by the EPA and DPH, just because this will be the first one in Connecticut, we're looking at about $14.5 million.
But the fields have not caused all that, right?
they haven't, but you're talking about adding to the problem.
Yeah.
So they have it. I'm not blaming the fields on it, and there's plenty of different issues that cause this. Again, I mentioned like the fire, and 30, 40 years ago. There's a lot of issues that go to it, but I just don't think that we should be adding to the problem.
Yeah.
And also,
Right.
there's been base level studies, Mr. Stowers, that say what do they call it? Harbor Watch has done, so that they know what the base levels are now. If those numbers go up after the installation of the fields, there'd be a causal effect that would be like, well, the fields are responsible for some portion of that. And we know this going in. It's not like we think it doesn't, there won't be an effect. We will have had this full discussion. We've had this discussion.
Yeah.
So we'll be liable for some of that.
All I'm pointing out is that the maintenance costs, the true maintenance costs, we won't, it's going to be difficult to find out what level of causation the field costs, if any. But what I'm saying is next year and the year after, it's going to cost you 3 times as much real money to do the clay and the grass field. I don't have a problem with it as long as we're funded to maintain it. And I'm saying we're gonna need a higher level of maintenance person to recruit and pay, and we're also going to be paying twice as much to maintain it with mowing and our maintenance staff. So I'm just saying that that's if we go that route, let's at least be responsible enough to maintain a $10,000 field that we only won't be able to use sometimes when it rains. But let's at least try to make the effort to support us in terms of keeping the maintenance up. And if we do that, then we'll have a great field.
Mr. Lopez and then Ms. Ayers.
So I look at this as really as an investment in the health of the players and in ecology and the environment. And I totally understand the sort of slower recovery time of the grass because it really takes a beating through so much consistent use. But the point I was going to make was that it's just the fact that I look at this as an investment in really the well-being of the players, the nearby neighborhoods, and the water source. And so I've looked at plenty of evidence. I mean, I have a list here of studies from Yale, Harvard, University of Connecticut that really point to the dangers of a lot of these chemicals that are contained in these sort of products. So that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, we're going around in circles. For me, we are. I think we need to, the committee members need to verbalize their commitment for whatever their choice is. So if your choice is turf, and we do understand that it's cheaper, you're committed to the turf financially. If your position is the natural grass, that's what I call it, the natural fields, then the public needs to see people stand up and say, I'm committed to this and I'm committed to funding it, because it's almost insensitive. And I've said this to you guys over and over. It's almost insensitive for us to pass things and then go, oh, well, we're not going to fund it. And oh, well, we're not going to do it. We use words that are catchwords, but the public needs to hear us clearly say, we're going to not do turf, but by the way, we are going to fund it. And I hear the science, which I'm not arguing the science. I'm not in disagreement of the science. But in 5 years, when people look at this stuff, if they ever look at it again, you need to stand on what you're standing on budgetarily. I'm only speaking about the money portion. I'm not speaking about the science. I'm not speaking about well-being, and I'm talking about the money portion. We cannot say that we do not want turf and then not be committed, as the staff has said in this department, to fully fund everything that goes with the upkeep of that field. And I see the faces, and I know people want to kick me, but I have to be the voice that say that. If again, I'm neither way. I'm neutral. I'm Ireland. I'm neither way. If you are going to commit yourself to non-turf, you're gonna have to also commit yourself in that next funding season to cover the costs of non-turf. And I don't always see that happening. I see us passing stuff and making stuff, and then when it's time to pay, we throw our hands up. Oh, I don't know how I'm paying it because I don't want my districts I don't want my taxing district or my district to have to pay more taxes. Well, how are we going to pay for it if people without taxes? So can we just say we are going to make that commitment? Can we do that, people, good people? I know that the time is getting late, but I think it's important for the community to hear that if whichever way you are, you're going to fully fund the requirements of what you're asking for.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Anyone else? Robert? Ken?
Oh, I said all, I said all I can say. I just think that, yeah, whichever way we go, we should be committed to taking care of the field.
Oh, Ms. Edie.
Yeah, no, just quick question. If we, with the turf, we still need maintenance on these fields, right? We still gonna need a person, because that's the issue now, that the fields aren't, it's hard to take care of them. So either any choice we take, we're gonna have to pay, right?
So we wouldn't need a staff member assigned to the site with an artificial field, because those fields we groom about once a month. We have a turf groomer. We use that for Nathan Hale, West Rocks, and Brian McMahon fields. But you don't need somebody, if it rains today, they could play on the field, during the rain. We don't need somebody there, removing puddles, adding more clay, adding speedy dry as you would to a clay infield.
Okay, it's just well, it's $9 million to put down, but to remove it, it's like 400,000, right?
So 400,000 was the cost of the Norwalk
The
High
digger
football
field.
field back in 2017. So we didn't work out a cost to remove these turf infields if they were installed, because we'd be looking 10 to 15 years in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
But the money that, like, as I said, with the maintenance, real dollars, it would be twice as much. So over a 10-year period, we could fund all of that with the money we save. We could fund the replacement and the disposal.
But we're not funding cleaning the water wells if we have to do that.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about, that's what I'm talking about. All we want is a field we can maintain. So if we vote, as I stated before, we vote for clay and grass. We just want a commitment from the council that they'll help us get a staff person, a high-level maintenance staff person, to be there at the site, to be a static assignment there at the site. That's all we're asking if we go that route.
Mr. Seed?
Yeah, I'm willing to go out there and say that I'm willing to commit to that, because I think we're talking about dollars, and I understand that, but we're not talking about, and I understand because we're talking about funding, and that's our job, but also our job is to talk about like the well-being of our city. And like what we haven't really talked about is the human capital that we're saving by making this investment and making sure that it's safer. And I think that that's something that, like, I'll probably say it and it could be quoted wherever, that I'll fight to fund and be right there with a picket sign with Rexon Park, because we need to invest in the human capital of our kids and everybody that's going to be playing on that field, including the water. So I think that that's an investment that's worth making, because it's public safety. And I think that that's more important than the dollars and cents. Just on my point. And again, thank you for allowing me to speak as a guest.
Miss Edie?
Thanks, sorry. Quick question, another quick question. Okay, so we have the fields now, and we're saying, we only have 2 people. but we're saying our fields are run down. So I feel like we would need another person anyway, if we got 3 extra fields, right? Or the same 2 people are gonna take care of the old fields and the new fields.
We can always use more staff. Don't
Yeah,
get me
I'm just like, if y'all having, you know, if
But
there's
what
an
we're
issue.
saying, what we're
Mhm.
saying is that in our synthetic fields, it's not a constant daily replacement of clay, and it's not a constant kind of thing. And we can always use more staff.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, our master plan shows that we are at least 9 to 10 staff short by a staff analysis. But if we're going to build a $10 million field, pristine when it first opens, we don't want to build a $10 million field that we can only use, a quarter of the time. So if we have somebody there, it would help with the maintenance. It would help us get on the fields quicker and help recovery time quicker, and it would keep the fields in better shape. And so
Okay.
that's what we're asking.
Okay.
Ms. Shanahan?
Yep. So, Mr. Stowers, how can we help? I mean, some of these fields are used by leagues, obviously, as well as the students. Is there a way that we could create a Parks Foundation? We've talked about it so many times to help with some of these maintenance things, because I do know that, we are taxing a lot of our citizens to what they feel is the brink of what they can afford. And that's difficult. And I always want to give more money to the city. I feel as though we've been shortchanging the city for my entire time on council. We've been cutting the budgets to the bone, and it is painful. And Ms. Ayers is exactly right. We don't have control of it. We just set the cap, but I know that our city departments need more funds. So is there, what are some of the thoughts that you have about perhaps creating a park foundation or some such thing where, we can maybe get some charitable dollars to help fund these fields and the maintenance of them?
Well, we've been talking to the mayor and talking to Mr. Livingston about a park foundation, and we're trying to make some strides. We're at least discussing and we're talking to people that may be on the foundation, but also starting to look for someone that will actually, a consultant that does these kinds of things to help set up the foundation. The thing about a park foundation, though, they're more interested in capital projects in parks, because they have to go back. They go for the big dollars, the big corporate dollars, and the corporations, they're going to want to see something that is substantial. They don't like to get into operational or operating things. They feel like a city is responsible for operating dollars, and they should be managing operation dollars in the most effective way for maintenance. So the foundation that we view will maybe help in an indirect way, that maybe our capital, it'll help more with the capital budget, and maybe that way we can move some money over to operating if possible. So that's kind of the work. But one of the things that we're trying to do is to increase fees, and so we took a little bit of a step this year, but it's difficult when things have been virtually free to then come and say, come and raise fees to an astronomical way. It will take some time to get there. We are looking to do more recruitment for sponsors. Sponsorship can be big, and that's an avenue that we can pursue as well. But those are, sponsorships. Those are the kind of things that we're looking to do, and on a small scale we're doing for our programs currently. But we want to get on the corporate level, corporate sponsorships, and that might give us some dollars. They'll be restricted to whatever the purpose is. But yeah, all those kinds of things are things that we're looking to do. So that, to answer the question, that's kind of as far as we've thought. But we're moving in all those directions.
So I wanted to say we've had a very robust conversation, and part of me feels as if we might need more time. And I think, Nicole, you might have made reference to that. But Robert, Ken, you know, what's the cost to implementing the fields if we wait to next month, or until I think the cost will go up.
So, Madam Chair, not only that, but we have a $2.6 million grant that
Mhm.
needs to be expended by December 31st of 2025. So, you know, honestly, I've been talking about these fields for at least the last 4 years. We've been through 24 design itinerations for these fields. I personally would not want to see it put off any longer, no matter what the council chooses. I just think we need to, you know, get boots on the ground, you know, and get these fields built, and then, you know, keep our fingers crossed for maintenance.
And so my other thought was, you know, we keep talking about the true cost of removal and maintenance. And the reality is we've got several fields that are probably going to need to be removed and replaced in the next, 2 or 3 years, correct?
Maybe not that soon. We're probably looking more 5 to 6 years for the Brian McMahon main complex.
So about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, we're going to start putting things on a life cycle, not only our fields, but other things on a life cycle, so we'll know exactly what we need to replace when. And but this particular field, this project needs to move. We'll lose our grant, and like we said, we are not the staff. We're just giving you the facts, okay?
Right.
We are comfortable with a new field of any kind, but we're just giving you the facts. We just have to, we just work harder like we always do, and we always will. If depending on the type of field we get, but we're for to move forward, and we will accept whatever the council votes.
It's so one of the things too, I know that we had talked about a little bit, was this technology is always changing and improving. It's just changing all the time, trying to make it more sustainable, and get rid of the toxic material. But I think it's also worth us to do a study of our own. And I think we kind of talked about this at some point, some independent study, because I think it would at least give us something to look at and to work from. Particularly as you say, they're moving to corn husks now. Now it's even different than it was 2 or 3 years ago. And so the technology is always improving. I think to address the needs, the concerns of the toxicity of the PFAS. And so I think maybe we ought to talk about that moving forward. But I think tonight, this evening, we need to take a vote, and based on what you all have said from the Recreation and Parks Department perspective and from our perspective as council members. Is everybody okay with that at this point?
And this vote is just to take it to council, right? Because
Right,
council.
to take it to council, right?
Yeah.
So if there are no objections to that, so I'm not sure how we would do it. We'll just vote one for each one.
We vote. We just go. I think as Lisa said, it was moved to all three. Now we go one at a time. We just vote.
All right. So to that end, I'm going to read off.
Darlene, can I just ask one point of order?
Sure.
I mean, so we're going to vote for each one of them, and the one that gets the most vote is the one you're going to take to council? Is that how you imagine it?
I think so, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to be, right. Or do we want to vote on which one we take? Well, we can vote to take one off the table now, but because I don't know if we've ever done it this way.
We can actually take the grass and the grass off the table, as far as I'm concerned.
Madam Chair, I think whichever one passes goes to council.
Right.
Yeah.
So does anyone oppose that we just, because we've never really done it like this before, that we just vote on each one, or do we want to vote to take one off?
So my question is, are we voting once or are we voting 4 separate times?
If we would be voting well, that's a good question.
So the way I guess that was my point of order originally. I think that we're voting each one because they're each on the agenda. And even if
Right.
we don't like grass, we'll just.
We'll just take it
we'll
off,
vote
right,
down.
right. Well, it just depends on how many, yeah.
So maybe 2 of these even pass. I mean, at that point, you can either decide to send it both to council and let them choose among them. I mean, or.
Let's vote. Let's vote because you're right. We could end up with 2. All right. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Okay, authorize the director of the Department of Recreation and Parks to move forward with the completion of a hybrid model baseball field design for the newly proposed Broad River Baseball Complex. It would feature a grass outfield and synthetic turf infield for each field. All in favor of that? Anyone in favor? All in favor of that? So there's 1 and 2 is me. Is there anybody else? I'm not missing. Is Heather on here?
No.
No. Okay.
So you're taking the opposed vote on that?
Opposed. Yes. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
L, authorize the director of the Department of Recreation and Parks to move forward with the completion of a baseball field design for the newly proposed Broad River Baseball Complex. It would feature a grass outfield and clay infield for each field. All in favor? 1, 2, 4 of us. Opposed? Abstention? Opposed? 1 opposed, Nicole? I'm sorry. I said
Yeah.
opposed. Okay. No. Nicole, I'm sorry. I didn't catch it. Did you say abstention, or opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure. Authorize the director of the Department of Recreation and Parks to move forward with the completion of a baseball field design for the newly proposed Broad River Baseball Complex. It would feature grass outfields and grass infields for each. All in favor? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, there's 4 of us opposed to all grass.
I'm abstaining on that one, Chair.
Okay, so there was 4 opposed and 1 abstention. Okay. So it looks like the grass outfield and synthetic turf and the clay and grass will be moved.
Well, Chair, the only thing that actually got a yes vote was grass and clay. Everything else was opposed.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Al.
Yeah, so we just moved that on.
That goes to full council.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, so we move the clay field on.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, this has been back and forth, but I thank the committee for really listening and either way, we're going to have a good field, and we'll just figure out how to take care of it. And, so. thank you.
Miss Edie?
Sorry, just one clarification. So pretty much the fields are gonna cost the same to produce them, but you're saying we're gonna need an extra 10,000 for the maintenance for the play, right?
No.
Is that the
no.
difference?
No, so it's gonna be roughly the same cost to install.
Yeah, yeah.
The maintenance difference is 170,000 for the clay infields versus 65,000 for the artificial infields
Okay,
per year.
okay. I just wanted to be clear. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I don't think we have any room for any more discussion. Item at
Yeah, I
number
think we have-
7.
I think we have a candidate.
All right, and so we've all agreed to move the clay field forward. Motion to adjourn. If there are no other comments, motion to adjourn. Thank you, Ms. Shanahan. I have to say thank you, committee. This was a tough conversation. It was a long conversation, but it was necessary, and it will require additional information. I think if we can just wrap our, get the information about how much this is going to cost us, get that clarity, and kind of parse that out over some time, because we're going to need to hire staff. We've already said that this is going to be a cost to the city. But we should work on that, and we are working on that, and Robert is working towards getting a foundation, and we're just going to have to be creative about how we move forward with this. So thank you all for your hard work, and good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.